I wake up one Sunday every 2 months, excited to go to church, but also excited to haul steers to the sale barn. My dad, brother, and I would load our cattle trailer and haul them to the Miller County Regional Livestock Yard. After dropping them off, I would leave with joy because I knew I was helping to feed a growing population. While joys come with being a cattle farmer, there are discomforts as well. The income between packers and farmers are so sporadically different. How can we be the world's largest producer of beef, yet we still have to import beef? Why does our country feel the need to make another burger that does not have any cattle meat protein in it at all? Born and raised on a cattle farm, I often question these things. While the beef market has a good demand, there are many challenges that I have come across. Economic, trade, and societal effects of different products are challenges to the cattle industry. Margins between packers and farmers are outrageous. Ever since the fire happened at the Tyson Helicom in Kansas, nothing has been the same. The outcome of the fire is sharply higher live to cutout spreads, all benefiting the packer. Live cattle prices have dropped, while packaged beef has surged. This began to stretch the margins between the time the calf hits the ground to when the packer ships the meat off to stores. Packer gross margins are nearly $400 per head, while cow-calf operators have realized a mean return of $62 per head. To me, this cannot make sense as a cow-calf farmer that has an animal on their farm for several months, feeding money into it. Living on a cattle farm, I experienced how much money and care is put into a heifer or a steer. I have been blessed to have raised and ate beef that has only came off of our farm. From our farm, we spend $500 per head to feed them out to the weight of 1,200 pounds. While this packer only has the meat for 1 to 2 days and spending on average $100 per head. While we have an in-country problem with the cattle industry, the United States has beef trade agreements with 20 other countries. Our big trade agreements with livestock are Canada, Mexico, Australia, and New Zealand. As a cattle farmer myself, I can only wonder why we have to import beef when we are the #1 producer of beef in the world. It is said that the beef we import is used for hamburger because it is more lean. But where does our ground beef go? Some of the beef we import shortly gets exported back out. Canada sends live herds over to feed them out and process them because of the fact that we have a better system. As a cattle farmer myself, I will always wonder why we are the 3rd largest importer of beef, yet the largest producer of beef. On September 30th, 2018, American, Mexican, and Canadian negotiators reached a deal to replace the North America Free Trade Agreement, which President Trump has described as the worst trade deal ever negotiated. 2 months later, Trump and his Mexican and Canadian counterparts signed the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which modernizes and revises in ways both good and bad the 25-year-old NAFTA. Before the USMCA can enter into force, it must be approved by the legislature of all 3 countries. This will be a heavy lift. I encourage the United States and Congress to pass this trade agreement. While the societal effect of meat is underlooked, I see it as being the hardest challenge for the beef industry. The so-called clean meat is making a run for real beef. The society is changing in many ways, and the one that impacts the cattle industry the most is a plant-based burger. Some people might think this is only affecting heavy populated cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York City. Yet, it has made an appearance in my small rural town, California, Missouri. This so-called meat is being put up next to cattle farmers' real meat. This is putting competition up for the cattle farmers and hurting their wages. The clean burgers are made from soybeans and beet juice. This now makes our cattle farmers wonder if it would be smarter to be a soybean farmer. Our cattle farmers are bound to lose money from this burger that is being put on the shelves right next to the real beef. The population is concerned on how the cattle farmers are going to be able to feed a growing population. Cattle farmers are not worried though, because last year, meat production was the highest it had ever been, and they are predicted to do it again this year. In 2016, Beyond Meat only received a profit of $16 million. Since then, it has increased a crazy amount. In 2018, their profits was up to $87.9 million. I question why the cattle industry has not fought against this, because in 2018 the beef industry made $49 billion, only raising their profits up $1 billion since 2016. You might think that Beyond Meat is not making as much as the cattle industry, but what scares me the most is how Beyond Meat profits have quintupled. We are not investing in fighting against something like Beyond Meat. Instead, we are sitting back and watching their profits raise. The beef checkoff was put into place to help fight something like this. We could simply invest in a commercial that could be aired on Sunday Night Football showing that these so-called burgers are one molecule away from being plastic. Society has recently been scared about the red meat causing cancer or heart diseases. While people think the fix to this is something like a Beyond Burger or a vegan burger, it could possibly have the same effect. In reality, what doesn't have effect on cancer? The plastic straw you drink out of when you get your drink from a fast food chain can cause cancer. Deodorant can cause cancer. So, does society want us to stop wearing deodorant? I don't advise that. It might have a slight effect. Red meat might have a slight effect on illnesses, but also has benefits to it like vitamin B12 and iron. These nutrients help the production of new red blood cells. Red meat is high in protein, which is necessary for building muscles, bones, other tissues, and enzymes. There are more positives that come out of red meat that outweigh the negatives. While I was a kid who planned my social life around feeding time, I understand and am in the same position of cattle farmers that have to deal with these challenges. The cattle industry is always battling something, whether it be against themselves, the world, or society. I walk out to our lot where we feed our steers every day, realizing some people don't believe in what I do. My question to them is, how do you think that juicy ribeye that you love to eat so much got on your plate? As farmers continue to climb an uphill battle, they have to keep producing because beef is what is for dinner.